This is a special edition of Extensive Chat, and today we are coming to you live from New Parkways Academy at Airport Ridge in Takoradi. And they are the winners of the BECE 2017 ranking, that's the private schools sector. And we are here very curious to know what they did right, the magic they did. So we'll be talking to Mrs. Theresa Acquaah, and she's the proprietress of this amazing school. So yes, we are here to know all the magic New Parkways Academy did to be winners of this year's 2017 BECE ranking, that's the private sector. So I'm checking the BECE performance, especially with the private schools in the Sekondi-Takoradi Metropolis. And number 1 is New Parkways Academy, number 2 is Elgate, number 3 is St. Peter's, number 3 is Acquaah International School, and the list goes on and on. And we would want to know what magic New Parkways Academy did to be number 1. So we are here to talk to the proprietress of New Parkways Academy. She is Mrs. Theresa Acquaah. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, how old is New Parkways Academy?
New Parkways is about 15 years old.
15
as at now.
Oh, okay.
Starting from the nursery when it was, since its inception.
Mm-hmm. So, how did it start?
Oh, it started with 10 small children at my outhouse in my own home.
Mm-hmm. In your own home?
Yes, and gradually the number increased, and we found it necessary to move to a bigger place. That was when the idea of putting up these buildings came. And by the grace of God, we are where we are now.
So, is this your first batch for the BECE?
Oh no, this is the 4th batch.
Mm-hmm.
The first batch, some of them are in the university now. They have finished with the SHS.
Mm-hmm.
And they did very well. But comparing their performance with this last one, these ones are really record breakers, as they call themselves. They did better than the first batch did.
Yeah, so the focus of this interview is on the 2017 BECE performance, which you topped the private schools in the STMA, that's the Sekondi-Takoradi Metropolis. And what magic did you do?
Oh, we didn't use any magic. First, it was by the grace of God and hard work. When children are going for examination, you make them know that this is their final exam and it's an external exam. And it's a crossroad they've gotten to. They really have to work hard to move on, to move to the side or be where they are. So we told them that as our motto is, we are a school of choice. So we encourage them to do better than those who have had their exam before. And it worked. It was through hard work.
What do you mean when you say you're the school of choice? What do you mean by that?
Well, when we say something is of choice, we are outstanding. You know, you really have to work hard to get here. And you have to show that you've been to New Parkways Academy by being outstanding in whatever you do.
So it should be in the way you speak, it should be in your communication skills.
Everything about you, the way you speak, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, and of course, how you perform at the final exam too. These are very important too. Final exam and external competitions. Competitions outside the school have to be outstanding. Yes.
Right, so I'm seeing this picture of you. I guess it's about, how old is it? How old is it?
I thought we are talking about the
yeah, so yeah, I want to, we are coming from
I intentionally brought these pictures to the school to encourage the children, for them to know that if you work hard, you get to the heights. And this is the picture I took when I had my master's in education management.
Yeah, so I wanted to know the school and the course you graduated.
Oh, well, it was Cape Coast University, and I had the master's in education management. Yeah.
So has it got anything to do with the performance of the school, your background?
A lot. You see, I did management in education, so it actually, how do I say it, enlightened me on how a school should be managed, the different aspects, the different areas you have in a school and how it should be managed. If you have training in that, you know what to do. And I think that is also helping in the performance of the children and the teachers too.
So with the BECE, 2017 BECE, how many candidates sat for the exams?
12 of them.
12. And what was the general performance? Because I'm seeing New Pathways with the aggregate, he has 7.08, and the next person had 9.40. You did far better than even the second person on the list.
Yes, as I said, we really worked hard, and I also sensitized them that it's a crossroad they've gotten to, and that will determine the BECE will determine their choice of subjects in secondary school, and that will also eventually influence their careers. So they shouldn't take it as just an examination. It's a very important examination. It's a very important crossroad in the lives of the children. Because that will direct you as to which area you can continue in the SS. For example, science may lead you to be a doctor, a scientist or something like that. And that will influence the choice of work that you will do in future. So we shouldn't just think that the BECE is just an examination. It's a very important examination to me.
Yeah, I believe this is a collective effort of the teachers, even the teaching and non-teaching staff. How do you employ your teachers? Do you have any special qualification you look at to employ them?
Yes, I do. Somehow, most of the teachers here are graduates. Graduates from various universities and in their various fields. So I expect them to give of their best. You see, some schools may employ SSS graduates, but these are graduates who have been to the university and they are well versed in their area of specialization. That also helps, so that will save me the energy of actually telling them do this, they actually know what they are about. I can't deny that we've had some challenges with quick staff turnovers, but then I make up because I know what I'm about. I know what I expect from the for the children. So if even a teacher leaves abruptly, I know how to fit another one in. And strangely or fortunately for me, most of the teachers are very hardworking and they really want to help.
So the minimum qualification should be at least first degree?
Oh no, we have diploma and we have some also with SS. Some have SS and they are very good in their areas waiting to go to the university. So when they come, I interview them. And from my experience at the Ghana Education Service, I will know that this person is good. Just that maybe he wants some finances to move ahead.
Oh, okay. And with the admissions of the children, how do you do it?
Yeah, with those coming for the nursery, it's automatic. But if you are coming midstream, you are interviewed. And yes, you are interviewed and you have to write and pass an exam before you are either asked to be with a class that you wish to be, or you have to go back, repeat and go back.
Well, this is a school, if I could generously call a quote and unquote Dadaba school. Is it how is the school fees is expensive?
The school fees is normal. It's not expensive as
well. What do you call normal?
It's affordable. Yes, because I'm not charging as some schools are charging at the moment. Well, I hope to improve it someday. To increase it? Yes, but right now it's on the average, and we expect that people should be able to pay. But we have some challenges with the parents paying their fees, but we do manage.
And with the parent, let's talk about the BECE, 2017 BECE. Where were you when you heard that you topped the private schools in the metropolis? Where were you?
I was in my room getting ready for school when somebody called that, he was with the sky, and he realized that we topped. So I said, oh, thank God. Thank God for that performance. I knew we did very well, but I didn't know we would top. So in fact, it was quite a surprise to me, and a pleasant one too. And I'm very grateful to God for that.
Yeah, talking about God, do you think there's a God factor in this?
Well, as a Christian, everything I do belongs to God, so please forgive me for that. I owe everything to God.
So you believe strongly there's a God factor in this?
And there's a God factor in it. I couldn't have made it on my own.
So the 12 students, let's talk about the preparation when they were going to write the BECE. Did you take them through any special preparations?
Yes, we did a lot of. We do a year ahead here. So
a year ahead?
Yes.
What's that?
That is, a year ahead means that when you are in, let's say, class 1, you'll be doing class 2 week. That enabled us to finish the engineering syllabus. The syllabus we have to cover, the curriculum we have to cover before the examination. So when we finish, any teacher who hasn't finished with his syllabus is given extra time. So JHS3, we give those teachers, because some of the subjects are voluminous, we give them chance to finish, and then we conduct series of mock for them.
So how many mocks did you do?
We had 4.
4?
4 of them before the examination.
Wow. So did they sleep in the school? Were there something unique that you did?
Well, when it's getting to the BECE, we ask the parents that we count them so that they'll have time to learn, and they'll be taken away from the luxuries of their homes and TVs and phones and things like that. And also the teachers will be available for them to help them with their weak areas. So that's what we normally do.
The year ahead, is it not a big struggle for the kids? Because there have been a lot of debates on social media and traditional media that, this is 6-year-old and he or she is supposed to go through this system. So the academic structures are in such a way that it will suit this age and this person with this psychological.
Somehow it has helped us. Well, it's a yes or no. The yes is that there are slow learners, and there are people who might be younger and things like that. But then, if you look at the curriculum of the GES, it should end in August, but the examination is in first week in June, so it ends in May. Which time would you have to cover the syllabus from May to August? So we need time. That's why we move ahead. And in some other countries, their primary is from class 1 to 5. And then they move on to. So if they are, if their primary is from 9 years, it's a way of getting time. So that's what we are using.
And with the BECE, for instance, has it brought any pressure on you?
Pressure?
The performance, being first amongst the private schools, is this something that has brought?
Well, it has made me sit up a little, and I told the teachers, we did well, but then we shouldn't rest on our laurels. If we do that, they'll make a poor mattress. So it means we have to work really hard. And now all eyes are on us, and the poor children who are in JHS3 are the victims.
Yes.
And we are going to put all effort, try as much as possible to make them work very, very hard.
So the news was yesterday morning.
Yes.
Have you been able to meet the staff after receiving the news?
Well, we haven't met as such because we are having the examination. But we will definitely do that. But I've met the children, and I've told them that we've heard the news, and unfortunately, it has put them in a limelight. So they have to really work hard and either do the same as their predecessors or even better. So they know how we are going to be on them, and they all say they are ready.
That's what they said.
They said they are ready.
They are daring.
They promised they will do better. I said, thank you.
So we are still talking to Mrs. Theresa Acquaah, and she's the proprietress of New Pathways Academy, and they were first in the 2017 BECE examination. And she's telling us the magic they did. She wouldn't call it magic, but I think that's the magic she did. So yeah, this is extensive chat, and we're still talking to Mrs. Acquaah. And so what next? You've won this, but really, is it a big deal?
A big deal
is it a big deal to win, to be amongst, because obviously you're the school of choice, and this is really expected.
Yeah. Answering this question, I would say that our motto is school of choice, but then we have schools which have been established and are far older than us, and they've been performing. So if, for example, you are competing with your elder sister and you overtake your elder sister, that's something else. You feel proud, don't you?
But don't you think it should be something normal? Because obviously you are sending candidates to examination to perform.
Yes.
And we are ranked, and
that is why we did well. That is why I said, we've done well. You have this group should work hard. But I didn't know that if they bring all the schools together, we'll be the first. Meaning that we have even tried more than we thought of.
Yeah. So you're located at Airport Ridge, a plush suburb in the Sekondi-Takoradi Metropolis, and that's what I said, that this place is more or less like a DB school for the rich kids. Is it difficult managing such kids?
Unfortunately, it's not only rich kids or whatever.
The tag.
Yeah, that come to the school. We have average, and we have even those who are, I would say, struggling to pay the fees. But I take everybody in because we should give opportunity to all manner of people. And we are not the only school too in this area. We have Morning Glory, you have Ichiba, and Aheneba, and all these schools are here. You see, so we are managing like a normal school. And from the school I went to, whether you are rich or not, the bottom line is how you perform. We don't look at how affluent your parents or your background is. How we look at you is how you perform at the school.
So how much do you charge for GSS? How much should I?
It depends. It depends. I thought you said we are going to discuss performance abuse.
Yeah, people won't forgive me if we don't really delve into these issues, because
you see, as for GHS 3s, it depends on so many things. Like when we are having the mock, for example, we have to hire people to mark, and
hire people to mark.
Yeah,
how?
They are qualified examiners to mark, and their charges fluctuate.
Right.
So even this year, we don't know how much they are going to charge. Yeah, and there are a whole lot of little things that we put in. That, for example, they have to take this mock, and almost I've told you they should cover the syllabus. So, most of the time they do pass questions, and we need to print and all these things. So we put in a lot. A lot goes into their preparation.
So, choosing the secondary schools, do you guide them? Do you think, based on this child's performance, maybe the boy wants to go to Adesado College, and you might say, based on your performance, I think you should choose this school. Based on this girl's performance, probably she might want to go to Wesley Girls. And do you guide them in that?
No, I don't actually interfere in that. But if you choose such schools, I tell you that they're highly competitive. So you need to sit up and then work hard, because who knows how the person will perform. I don't want to restrict anybody's future by saying that, you don't do well, go to this school. If you do well, fine. If you don't do well, the examination, the results will tell. But rather, I encourage them to go higher, to aim above the stars, so that when they fall, they'll be with the stars. Just like Wesley Girls,
Wesley Girls. On that note, you attended Wesley Girls?
Of course.
Which year?
1969.
1969.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I know ancient. I'm not even an old girl, I'm an ancient girl.
So do you? Does that influence you to really advise some of the girls to go to your school?
Oh yes. You see, some of them do admire me naturally, so they want to be
role model to them.
Yes, I'm a role model, so they want to take the same path that I did. So I tell them, well, I went to Wesley Girls High School, and we're told that if you really want to make it, you have to work hard. Some of the training that was ingrained in us still shows, so it motivates a whole lot of them.
Mr. Acquaah, I think you'll be in the best position to answer this question. Is there something wrong with the education system? Let's focus on the basic education in Ghana. Is there something wrong with it?
When you say something wrong with it, I actually don't know.
Are you impressed with the education, the basic education system in Ghana? Are you impressed? Is there something you would want to do if you had a chance, say the Minister of Education? Is there something you would want to implement, something you want to edit, something you want to touch a bit?
Well, it depends on where we are coming from. I can't say straight away that, let's say this should be changed or something. And you know that the education system is not stagnant. The Minister of Education and his crew always look at the results of the BECE and make necessary policies. You see, sometimes even with the writing of the books, they have to change it because of the result of the certain subjects if they are not impressed. So it's not stagnant and say that, this is what they are doing, so we should change it. From the results, a whole lot of meetings go on, and the results of the performance of any examination determines how the system is run. If, for example, like the changing over from the old system to the yes, they realized that it was the education was becoming too academic and the technical side was going down, and that was influencing societal behaviors and things like that. That was when it was changed. So much of the changes in the education is dependent on that particular the results of that particular exam.
So you're a beneficiary of the O and A level.
Yes.
And right now we have the GSS and the SS level. Which one would you recommend if you had to choose?
Oh. Well, the one I went through, that's what I know. But I know about this one too. Yes. But then, you see, the JHS and the SS system on paper is very excellent. But I think it's the implementation of it that is...
the challenge.
Yes, that is the challenge. That is the challenge, especially with the training of the teachers and things like that. For example, if you have a class teacher who is a guy and he's posted to an area where they hardly speak English and he doesn't understand their local language, how does he teach? How does he teach? How does he communicate to the children? They don't understand English, and he's a guy. How is the teacher able to impact the whatever he has to teach the children to do? How? You see, these are little things that I find challenging in the education system. But one thing too is that you can't say that those poor children shouldn't have schools and shouldn't have teachers. But I mean, it's a big issue.
So, talking on that note, I think there was this debate that we should use the local dialect of the children to teach subjects like maths, subjects like social studies, those subjects. They were debating that we should use the local dialect. Would you do that in New Pathways Academy? So, New Pathways Academy, how many? Was the challenge of being here at Airport Ridge? Does it really deter some parents that just like some perceptions that for Dadaba, so I don't want to take my child there?
Oh no, I don't think so. As I told you earlier on, we have parents Ijamba through here, and there are quite a lot.
Ijamba.
One is one is Ija. We take in all kinds of people from all backgrounds. But our major challenge now is accommodation. Then the school is growing and we are single stream. So our challenge is with accommodation. We need to expand. So that is what we are thinking of now.
So the expansion doesn't mean you are building more structures, you are relocating, which will be more convenient.
As it is now, we have to relocate because this is an Air Force zone. And we can't go higher. It will
distract the flight.
The flights, yes. So actually, we have 3.7 acres land at Kasaroro, which we have put 9 classroom block to later level, which we hope to develop.
So, in the next 5 years, New Pathways will relocate to Kansaroro?
No, it won't relocate. This will still be here, and another branch will be there.
All right. So, you are first in BECE amongst the private schools in the metropolis. What next?
We have to continue and maintain it.
Is it possible?
We'll try. Nothing is impossible if you try your hardest. So we want to keep on trying to be the first. And I know if you try and try hard, you will maintain it.
So, Mr. Acquaah, let me give you this opportunity for you to do free adverts. Tell the parents why they should bring their wards to New Pathways Academy. Why they should bring them.
Oh, New Pathways Academy, as you know, is a school of choice. And we care very much for the children. We give them all the necessary protection and then the opportunity to learn. So if you bring your child here, be assured that he's in safe hands, both academically and domestically. Thank you.
So we spoke to Mrs. Theresa Acquaah, and she's the proprietress of New Pathways Academy. They were first in the BECE in the secondary, amongst the private schools in the Sekondi-Takoradi Metropolis. My name is Nana Kwesi Kumse, and this has been Extensive Chat. Thank you.